Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, joined as always by Kyle Price. Sorry it took so long to get us started here, George, for whatever reason. George is out, so I'm setting everything up, and for whatever reason, StreamYard only let me use George's show, Dueling Aces, in their backgrounds, and that's not
done that. Just to fuck with them. You know?
I should have just been like, we are the better Dueling Aces. We're ready to go. But no, I'm glad I got it all set up, only because we have specific things we like to talk about, and George gets us specific backgrounds. And not having those and having a different intro, etc., not what I'm looking for. So, with that being said, we are here. Kyle is here. Kyle has had a day, as you can tell. He looks like he just did the 100 men versus gorilla challenge by himself, and he was a gorilla. Just it's just things get started on the internet, and they get a little bit of
What's your opinion? Can 100 men beat a silverback gorilla up?
So many variables to that question. It depends on the men. Because if it's like 100 regular ass Joes, the gorilla. But if it's like 100 of the greatest fighting people and like UFC fighters, I'd probably side with the 100 people. But it really depends on the people.
I think I saw somebody's take on it earlier today. They said, look, 100 strong men, if they all did it together and they had no fear, probably would win. But it takes one or two men who would first go in to get their ass ripped apart. And the other ones go, okay, I don't want any part of this. And I think at that point, the gorilla wins.
Like, if you're giving me 100 of, like, the most hardened criminals that are on death row that, like, don't give a fuck, maybe they stand a shot. But, yeah, if it's just
racist men on death and whatever, because, honestly,
they might be like, get them! They started... So, I mean, there's definitely variables to it, but I more often than not, I would side with the gorilla. But a lot of the AI videos that people made are irritating because they just show the 100 like AI people just standing there, and it's the same thing with look at any action movie like John Wick. Don't get me wrong, I love the John Wick movies, but whenever he's in a fight, whenever he's in a fight with like 20 guys. There's like one that goes after him. The other ones just stand in the background. If they all win at once, he can't stop all of you, but then they all wait to go one-on-one. I don't know if it's like a code of ethics thing with fighting or if it's just for the movie because otherwise he'd be dead. But to me, why are you just standing there? It happens in all movies. You see guys that are standing there and like they all have guns and then like one guy attacks him with like a knife and the other ones just stand there and then they get the gun kicked out of their hand. It's like, use the gun. He'd be dead. You win. It's over.
It would just take one man getting his limb ripped off by the monkey or the gorilla for him to be like, all right, yeah, I'm not getting involved with that thing.
And that's why you would need a bunch of people that are like on death row because they have nothing to live for. If you've got 100 guys that like have a wife and kids at home, they're like, shit, that dude's head just got ripped off. I'm fucking out of here. Then yeah, they're done. But if you got guys that are like, well, I'm going back to prison where I'm probably going to have to, plug my butthole in the shower again tomorrow. So I'd rather just get my head ripped off here, or at least die trying. So there's variables, lots of variables too.
I apologize now for eating on camera. It's just I need to eat something. So fuck you. If you,
I will never apologize for drinking on camera. I'm going to the mango cart today. Summer is here. We've had a couple 70-degree days. I cut my grass the other day.
Oh boy.
And
let me rephrase. More of a man and a homeowner now that you cut your grass with.
No, I'm fucking still tired from it. It was exhausting.
If you had a riding lawnmower, how are you exhausted?
Because I have hills. I have to use a push mower in a bunch of spots. I can't use a riding mower the whole way. It's too steep.
Oh, okay. You had to push it for a little bit.
It more than a little bit. I have an acre and a half. It's a lot of fucking pushing.
Was it worth getting a riding lawnmower then if you're having to push a lot?
100%. Like the big lot in front of my house, I own that whole lot. So like that's all flat. I could do that with the riding mower. And then I drive down the one hill, which isn't too steep, towards my backyard. And then down by the first bridge, it's all pretty flat. So I could do all that with the riding mower. But if you go up towards my house on the side, it's a steep ass hill. Like you could sled down it. So there's no way I could get up and down with a riding mower. That thing would tip over. And then I don't really trust the bridges that I have to use the riding mower over it. I'd be like terrified that one of the boards cracks or something like that, and then I fall into the fucking creek on the riding mower. So I'm going push mower over the bridges.
How deep is the water on the creek next behind your house?
It's not deep at all, but it's just more so like if I fell in with the mower, it's not coming.
I'm not saying don't risk it. I'm just saying I just don't know how like.
No, if it doesn't rain, it's really not much at all. It's like 6 inches, if that.
That's a lot, actually. What are you talking about?
Yeah, sorry. It depends on who you're asking, but if it rains, then the creek can get almost filled to the top. Like when we had all that a few weeks ago.
When does 6 inches not fill something up completely? I don't understand what you're talking about.
That's what they tell you, Kyle. But yeah, no. So I cut the grass, but truthfully, I cut about 80% of it. I didn't even have time to finish it all because I got home from work the other day and immediately started trying to cut it, and just time restraints. By the time I finished up and it started to get dark out, I didn't even have it all done. But it's more of I have to dedicate a weekend to it, or a Sunday. I can't do the grass on like a Monday afternoon like I used to at my old house.
I am 2 cuts in so far this season. So I just cut my grass last week because the backyard was just a fucking Amazon rainforest. And then I came before I left to get on the road on Monday. It was I had to cut it again because it was once you cut that top layer of grass off, it's like it just shoots up. It just now it goes. It's insane. By the way, yes, I'm on the road. So here, I got upgraded to the presidential suite. So
whoa, we got a double cucker, ladies and gentlemen. The double cuck.
I got a nice bed. What you don't see is down I have a hallway that leads to a living room down there that I'll never use. Then I have a bathroom over here that has a standing shower and a bathtub, which I might just take a shower and then go sit in the bathtub so I get use out of everything in this room tonight. So we'll see. But
you're only there for one night?
Only one night. So I get the upgrade, and they're like, I just switched to gold on Hilton, right? So they bumped me to gold status. Now the only status to go to is diamond, but I bumped up the gold. So I check into Embassy Suites. I'm down in Cincy. And they're like, oh, we bumped you to an upgrade. I'm like, oh. So I look at my emails, like, you got bumped to the presidential suite. I'm like, I'm curious what a presidential suite in the Embassy looks like. It's not bad. 3 rooms. There's a small single toilet down the hall that I'll never use. I might pee on it once because I just want to use it, just to use it.
Yeah, as you should.
There is a sectional couch that wraps around out there, a big TV in the living room, a big old dining table, right? A microwave, a refrigerator out there. Then you come down the hallway to this big bed. Then you got the 2 cup chairs with like almost like a balcony here, if you can see, like over like a balcony almost, nice and big. Stuff I'll never sit in or use, but I'm like, all right. So all this for I think I paid $120. Well, company paid for it for the night. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll take it. So, and then Embassy has between 5 and 7 every night. They have social hour where you get 2 free drinks and unlimited appetizers and half off food. So I'm like, what a steal. So I'm just going to stay at Embassy Suites from now on because they take care of you here.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's good to know.
No, it's not bad at all. Anyways, that's enough about what I'm at. But so yeah, I got the upgrade to the presidential. I'm gonna feel like Trump tonight, going all in.
Yeah, I would. Probably don't want to feel like him. You're gonna and have some legal troubles. I would get some use out of that living room. I'm a big couch guy. I would go lay on the couch.
Every section of the couch and sit on it, so I take a photo, so I know it was there.
I would. You're commemorating the moment forever. I would. I would take pictures. I would lay on every piece of furniture in there, even just for a second, just to say that you did it all.
What else has been on those things? You got to think about that. There's been definitely.
You don't want to think about what's been on those things. That's the joys of hotels. Is you just go in going, don't even want to know.
The black light everywhere I go. Just take the black light and just.
Then you'd end up sleeping in your car. You'd be like, nope, I'm going outside. I cannot recommend not bringing a black light to hotels enough. So don't do that.
You're probably right. It's probably a bad idea.
You will never want to sleep in a hotel ever again. All right. I got really not a whole lot of news on my end. Obviously, we just did a show last week. We did a couple shows. We did the draft specials too. So we did 3 nights. Well, I did 3 nights in a row of going live.
Yeah, you look good Saturday night, man. It's kind of holding the fort down. You didn't welcome anybody on the call that night, I see, though.
No, I wanted to just be quick. My father-in-law came over on Friday, kind of unexpected. I knew they were coming over for dinner, but I didn't know he was going to stay. And initially, I wasn't even planning on going live on Friday night, but because of the power outage that I had on Thursday, which I'm still fucking annoyed about. So for those of you that didn't know, at about 7 p.m. on Thursday night, as I'm putting Teddy to bed, I'm about to go jump in the shower and then get ready to start the live stream for the draft that we had planned. All of a sudden, all the lights go out in my house, and I'm like, that's no good. So I reach out to the electric company immediately, and I get a notification back that says, your estimated time of power to come back on is 10 p.m. I was fucking livid. So I mean, luckily I have a smartphone. I have unlimited data, so it is what it is. I watched the draft on my phone. I was able to talk to Kyle the whole time, talk to everybody. But it was annoying as fuck. And then as soon as my power came back on, I got everything set up, and right away we went live. But it wasn't until like 9:30. The Browns had already made their pick. They'd already traded.
I had a blast.
What's up?
It was a good time just sitting on there with random people.
Oh, it was awesome. I had a really good time, but I just wish we could have gone on earlier because I had a lot of friends that wanted to join, but I took work off Friday. I know a lot of people didn't. So by the time I was on there, I'm asking people like, hey, you want to hop on? And it's already like after 10 o'clock. And they're like, no, I'm already laying in bed. Thanks, though. I'm like, all right, no problem. So I totally understand. But again, because I missed the Browns draft pick, I was like, fuck it. The Browns have 2 early picks the next day. I'm going to go live, and I'm going to do those picks at least by themselves. And my father-in-law sat next to me. He's a big conspiracy theory guy. He thinks, everyone's out to get him. He puts tape over all of his cameras. He's one of those guys. He burns every piece of mail that has his name on it or anything. He doesn't let that get out there.
Crazy.
Oh, 100%.
No, okay.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't.
Tara's starting to make a lot more sense now. So, all right.
Yep. He got they got him a new laptop for Christmas, and they set it up for him. Well, Tara did a few weeks ago, and she did. I forgot what account it was. It was for like his work pay stub account or something like that. And she has it set up to where his computer remembers his password, so he can just click, boom. He immediately calls her, and he's like, hey, what the hell? This thing logged me right in. I don't want people knowing my password. It's going to get leaked, and someone's going to get it. And she's like, Dad, it's only saved onto your computer. Who uses your computer besides you and Mom? He's like, well, no one. And she's like, do you take it out of the house? Is it going to get lost somewhere for someone to find it? He's like, well, no. And she's like, then you really don't have anything to worry about. I don't think anyone's going to steal your password. And he's like, okay, if you're sure. But he's very paranoid about that kind of stuff.
So now we know we have a conspiracy, not to give his name away, but we have a conspiracy Mike coming on as a guest.
Yeah, Mike, he's out there sometimes. To be honest, I kept asking him, but even Terry,
he's long lost older brother.
He's the one who started it all. Yeah, his wife Terry was over, and we were eating dinner, and Mike came over. He brought some beers, and we were drinking some beers and getting ready for the draft to start, and his wife was like, hey, keep giving him drinks. I bet if you get him drunk enough, he'll go on camera. And she's like, and I'll show it to all of his friends, and everyone will get a kick out of it. And I was like, I'll try. So that's why if you noticed during the show, I kept going, Mike, you want to hop on? Mike, you want to say anything? And he's like, nope. He was sitting right next to me. He had no problem talking. So he would have a conversation with me to my left, but would not want to be near the microphone, be on camera, nothing. So I tried.
Camera shy.
Very much so, but I had a great time. So I did the draft coverage on nights 1 and 2, and again night 2. As soon as the Browns took, spoiler alert, Quinshon Judkins with the 36th pick, I logged off. So that was it for me. I did a quick, or was it 39? I forgot. Whatever fucking pick it was.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's a great pick though. Great pick.
Yeah, great pick. I got a Blackstone that I haven't used yet.
Ooh.
So I got that going for me. Long story short, we had
you got all the suburban dad things. Did you buy New Balance shoes yet? Did you have the?
I already have the New Balance shoes. I've already had New Balance shoes before I moved. They look like Vans. They're skater shoes, but they are New Balance.
Do you have the jean shorts that you're going to put on Saturdays?
I do not have jorts. I still dress like I'm 12 years old, so I don't think I'll ever have jean shorts.
Basketball shorts.
I have plenty of basketball shorts, but I like to wear, like when I'm cutting the grass, yeah, it's just basketball shorts. But like if I leave the house, I rarely leave the house in shorts. I'm always wearing pants or jeans or something. So again, I dress like I'm 12. I wear like black shirts and band shirts and skate shirts, and then Vans shoes and pants all the time. I dress like a child. So I'm not quite a suburban dad. I'm getting there. But we had some friends. Shout out to Nick and Kayla. They bought a Blackstone a few weeks ago. It was on sale. They got a great deal on it. I don't know how much they got it for, how much they're worth technically. But supposedly she got a great deal. She ran into Tara at the store and was like, oh my God, Nick and I just bought a Blackstone. It was such a good deal. Send this link to Justin. I bet he'll want one. And Tara sent it to me and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't really need it. So I was like, I'm not going to spend the money. And then fast forward to the next weekend, we go to Costco, run into Nick and Kayla again. They're Brunswick Strongsville / residents. So we see them all the time around here. And they're like, oh man, I'm so excited to use this Blackstone. You guys are going to have to come over. We're going to have a hibachi night, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hell yeah, sign me up. That sounds great. I was like, I'll be your assistant. I'll bring the bottle of sake and a squirt bottle, and I'll spray sake on everybody. And then a few days later, Tara gets an interesting text. Hey, do you guys want this Blackstone before we post it on Facebook to sell? Nick used it once, hated it, and doesn't want it anymore. So apparently, our understanding, and this is what Tara took away from it, he didn't let it heat up enough. So he turned it on, got it warming up, and then threw a bunch of eggs on there. All of the eggs didn't start cooking, and they drained down into the drain, and he just lost all the food, and he was pissed off, and that was enough to say, fuck this thing, get rid of it. So she was going to list it on Facebook.
Is he new to cooking? Just curious.
No. He's a big time. He loves to smoke meats. He loves making different barbecue and stuff like that. But that's Tara's. She's alleging that that's what he did. But he ruined all the eggs, and he immediately just said, get rid of this fucking thing. So the next week, Kayla and her mom had hair appointments with Tara. And she reached out to Tara and said, if you don't want to do it, totally understood, but figured I'd offer. Instead of me paying you for our appointments, what if I trade you the Blackstone before I list it on Facebook? So Tara looked and she thought about it and she did the math and she's like, that's fair. And then she goes, happy Father's Day, Justin. And she did it.
Congratulations, man.
So yeah, I have the Blackstone. It is sitting in my garage and unused yet, but it's there.
When are we doing hibachi night now? Because I'm all about
give me a couple times to use it and get used to it before I invite people over, because I don't need an egg.
You need to not just perfect cooking. You need to perfect the utensils.
I'm cooking. I've perfected. It's just cooking on a Blackstone. I make hibachi all the time, but I do it in the kitchen. I don't do it on the Blackstone. So I think I can do it no problem. It's just a matter of I'd like to get some use out or some experience on the Blackstone. But yeah, no, I'm really pumped to have it.
We have
so that's pretty much
the mini Blackstone. We were thinking about, because we want to redo our back patio and rip out the stone, put a new patio back there eventually. And we're like, we want to get a Blackstone and kind of build the Blackstone around like a enclosure, like a stone enclosure. So we haven't gotten it yet, but we got a mini one, and the one we got was like a 3-in-1. It was a Blackstone, a grill, because it came with a grill attachment, and then like a pizza oven. So you can put the top down and put a pizza stone in there and make some pizza. So we got that right now, which is getting us by for right now. But I do love the Blackstone. I've always wanted one. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But no, that's great.
Yeah, I do. I do 99% of the cooking here, so that's why the Blackstone was all for me. She'll never use it. So yeah, no, I'm pretty pumped on it. I'm looking forward to getting some use out of it. I was going to use it last night to cook some steaks up for us, but just ran late. I was on solo duty with Teddy, so I cooked the steaks inside. I brought up, we have like 3 extra TVs sitting in my basement. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with all of them.
Congratulations on all your success, sir.
And well, at the old house, we had TVs in every room. And then we had the extra TV that we use as our outdoor TV. Here we haven't taken it outside. Well, we took it outside once. We were in the hot tub and we were watching Saturday Night Live one night. But for the most part, I haven't used it for anything. So with the draft, I was like, fuck it. I'm dual screening because the NBA playoff games were on. So I had 2 TVs. I'm not going to lie. I've left the TV in my den and I'm so excited because I've been still gambling like crazy because I'm trying to get out of that hole that I have with BetUS. Yeah. And truth be told, it's going really well. I'm very profitable right now. I'm just still a couple $1,000s away from being able to take the money out, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. I started increasing my bets. Whereas I would do like maybe 10 or 15 bucks on each game. Like I'd take like 5 to 10 baseball games and I would just pick a team's money line, 10 bucks, 5 bucks, 15 bucks, depending on how confident I was. And, just the other day I started upping it. I started doing $20, $25, $30 a game. And I've been hitting like the Mets yesterday. I put some big money on the Mets and they beat the shit out of the Diamondbacks. So that was a big win for me. So again, I'm slowly but surely getting out of the hole I have with BetUS, but because I've been gambling so much, I'm a weirdo to the point where I like to try to watch the games. Like I want to see as much as I can of a live game when I have a bet going. So with the dual screen, I have Major League Baseball, like the packaged, whatever, MLB TV. So I have, like last night, I'm sitting there and I have the fucking Brewers playing the Colorado Rockies on one TV. I've got the NBA playoffs on another. I'm just a degenerate these days, but it's all good.
You're winning. It's all that matters,
Yeah, I mean, it works. And then yesterday when I was cooking, Tara was at work. I brought the extra TV into the kitchen. And I put it on our island. So she came in the door and she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I just have, with YouTube TV, they let you do multi-view. So I have both NBA games playing simultaneously on the TV. And I'm just cooking steaks. I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? Well, I don't see what the problem is. I loved it. And I was like, I'm not going to lie. I love the idea of a TV in the kitchen. I think you guys have one, right?
We do. We have the swivel one that's right above our stove or above our sink, so we can swivel it to while we're doing like dishes or in the kitchen, and we can swivel it around if we're sitting in like the dining room eating dinner. We can watch TV there too if we want to. Yeah, we have one in our kitchen. We have one living room. We have two in our office. We have one in our bedroom. We have another one in her getting ready room, and then we have one in my now new office upstairs. So yeah, and then we have one downstairs, two downstairs. One in the corner there, and then we have one above the bar. So,
yeah. So we have.
You know what? I guess TVs are just cheap to come by nowadays.
They really are. That's why I had, like, when we moved, I didn't need it, but I was like, I want a new TV in the den. So I just immediately, first thing I did was buy a brand new TV. So I have a TV in the den.
I'm making bets right now before game starts. So that's what
Go for it. Yeah, you're getting. It's almost time for a lot of games to start. We have a TV in our bedroom, TV in the living room, TV in the den. And then that's it. So that's why I have extra TVs, because we don't have a TV. Tara doesn't want a TV in the office here. She obviously doesn't want a TV in Teddy's room. And then we're going to hang one up in the basement for our workout area. We just haven't done it yet. So we'll have just one extra TV soon. I take it back. Yeah. So I thought we had three. We have two extra TVs, not three. But whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much been my life lately. Just literally sitting around watching sports. Had Tara's family. People came over our house on Saturday, which worked out perfectly. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to friend of show Triple G, Guardian Guy Greg. He had his Schwitz for his birthday.
Yeah, I wonder did anybody of our friends go? I want to know how that turned out.
Last time, I believe Phil was the only one who could make it. We had a lot of people out of town doing stuff. I had some family stuff with Tara's family to do. And it worked out because they came over to my house and I just got to sit around and entertain and watch the draft. So it worked out perfectly. And overall, not a bad weekend. Not a bad week. Again, doing the live stream for 3 straight days. The draft coverage was awesome. I looked at Tara today and I was like, holy shit, it's already Wednesday. I said a week ago, it was the draft, basically. Like a week ago tomorrow. Like, it's fucking nuts how quickly that week's been.
I mean, so much the draft, the fallout from the draft. What are the Browns doing? Like, so much in the last couple of days has been going down. So,
yeah. The Browns are, of course, the center of the football universe once again. Just when you thought they were going to just kind of disappear into the background, they say, hold my beer. And they do the unthinkable. So for weeks, for months, there was the discussion. The Browns knew they had the number 2 overall pick. Which quarterback are they going to take? Then the Titans solidified they're taking Cam Ward. It was a no-brainer. All right, who are the Browns taking? It's got to be Shedeur Sanders, right? Then it turned into Abdul Carter. Then it turned into Travis Hunter. It's been all of these guys. And everyone and their brother really tried to get you to think it was going to be Shedeur Sanders at 2. And I almost tried to talk myself into it because I didn't like the pick. And I was like, I mean, I guess they have to take a quarterback at this point because they don't have one. Then they trade for Kenny Pickett. Okay, they still don't have a quarterback, so it looks like they have to take Shedeur Sanders. Then they sign Joe Flacco. All right, they probably still should take a quarterback at number 2 because your quarterback room sucks. But even then, when we did our mock draft, and I have been so honest about this, I have my one buddy who's trying to rub it in my face that Shedeur Sanders, I thought he should have gone number 2, and he's like, you were debating between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and I said, because I thought they were taking a quarterback by default. I said, in my opinion, personally, which I was been very blunt about, I don't think either of those quarterbacks deserve to be first-round picks, let alone 1 and 2. But then when it was no doubt about it, the Titans were taking Cam Ward, I put him at number 1 in my mock, which everyone knew was going to happen. And then when we did our mock draft on the show, I put Shedeur Sanders as a late 20s pick by default to the Rams, because I was like, I guess I have to put him in the first round. I don't want to, but I guess I will. But in my mind, I knew this dude's not a first-round quarterback. I really, really, truly thought that. I've been pretty honest with my assessment of this quarterback class. I thought it was one of the worst in NFL history, truthfully. I think this quarterback class is garbage. So of course the Browns come away with 2, but I hate this QB class. There's just, to me, there's no. I think this class is full of potential backups. That's truly it, and I think the Browns did that properly, the way they did it. So the Browns will start off from the top. While I was sitting in the darkness of my den with no power, watching on my phone, the Browns traded pick number 2. Obviously, Cam Ward went number 1. Pick number 2 gets traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Browns move from 2 to 5, and in doing so, they acquire the Jaguars' second-round pick, which again was like pick 36 or something like that. I forgot off the top of my head exactly, but it was mid-30s. Then they also acquired a 2026 first-round pick from the Jaguars, a great trade to move back 3 spots. Jacksonville takes Travis Hunter. I agree completely. And they traded up to take a wide receiver. They traded up to take a dual threat player, which is great. Good for them. However, I personally don't think he really is going to be able to play much of both sides of the ball like everyone thinks. Everyone says he's this crazy once-in-a-generational athlete, and he's going to play both sides of the ball. There's current betting websites, which is ridiculous. They're stealing people's money, that they have will Travis Hunter win offensive and defensive rookie of the year, and it's like plus 20,000. But I bet there's people that are like, I'll fucking throw $100 on that, and they're probably making a killing because that's never going to happen. It's so hard to be good at one position in the NFL. Your odds of being not being a bust as a top 5 draft pick, or any draft pick, I should say, are so slim. To then be great at 2 positions is impossible. I tried to tell my buddy this because my buddy was all about Travis Hunter, which I was okay with the pick if they would have stayed and taken him. But he was really trying to talk me into how they're going to use him on both sides of the ball, and he's going to do this and do that. And I'm like, man, this is the NFL. This isn't college. This isn't Colorado facing, BYU or some shitty school. This is the NFL. You have to spend time with your positions group and have to get down for each week is a total different game plan. And I said, especially on defense. Defensively, you're plugging in a totally different setup or system every week for that specific offense you're playing. There are teams that like to run the ball more. There are teams that like to pass the ball more, that like to pass it a certain way to tight ends, to slot receivers, whatever. Your defense every week is so different. Your offense is relatively similar. I get that. But I was like, there's just no way. There's not enough time for an NFL player to do both. There's just not. I was like, so if anything, he'll come in and play like Hail Mary possessions. He'll play defense on those. And obviously, we don't have to worry about it now, but I don't think it's going to happen in Jacksonville either. Again, I think he'll play minimal, assuming they're playing him at wide receiver, he'll play minimal defensive snaps. And if they do decide to play him a ton on both sides, I'm happy because I'm a Browns fan, and we need the Jaguars to have a bad year. And if they're playing a guy twice as much as they should, or any other normal player, his risk. I'm not wishing injury on the guy by any stretch. Don't take it that way. But your risk of injury for playing one position is already so fucking high in the NFL. Now play twice as many snaps. Good luck.
Right. Agree. Completely agree. I mean, I just think it's one of those things where yes, very talented. I would have been happy with Hunter. I would have been okay with Hunter. I would have supported Hunter, right? But when they traded that pick and they got who they got with that pick, fuck yeah. Like, we got 2 first-round picks that we can do a lot of things with. We can either take 2 first rounds next year and bolster our team. We're in holes that we're probably going to have next year. We could package those picks and move up higher to take somebody we really want next year in a very loaded quarterback class. Or we, like I said, fill holes. But I'm happy with the defensive guy we got. Fuck, let's go, man. Who's going to run on us right now? Like, tell me. Nobody's going to. So
no, I mean, in the offseason, and we'll do a recap of the actual draft picks probably. I meant to talk to you about this. I completely forgot the dates. So I'm thinking we might have to do an episode next week because the week after is the Louis show.
Oh, yeah, the Secret Louis, the show down in Akron?
No, it's at Hilarities.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So the 14th, I'm going to Louis. Excuse me. So I won't be able to do a show that night. So I'm thinking maybe we'll just do maybe a short episode next week to just, keep up with the NBA playoffs. Obviously, we can recap the entire draft because tonight Kyle and I are going to do a pretty quick episode. Again, as you can see from Kyle, rough day at work. he's looking forward to finally showering and relaxing in his hotel room. So we're definitely help him out in that aspect. But for tonight, I figured we'd at least cover the Browns draft because plenty to talk about. As you can see from the picture below, the 5th round pick is the one stealing the headlines. But before we get to the 5th round, we had a few more picks beforehand, so let's get into those. As Kyle mentioned, the Browns did move back to 5, and they did take Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, who was one of the best players in football all year. He was one of the few players who, since I started looking at mock drafts towards the end of last season, when I knew the Browns were going to be bad and picking, and then, give or take, in the last month of the season, the Browns went from having like the 7th overall pick to the 2nd. There was a time where we were projected to be like maybe around 5. So I was looking at mock drafts and I was going, hey, I'd take this Mason Graham guy. He's a pretty damn good defensive tackle out of Michigan. He's a run stuffing, that's his expertise. And the Browns had one of the worst run defenses in football last year. So when we started looking at mock drafts in November, December, before the season ended, Mason Graham was a guy who was up there in the top 5. Mason Graham was all season long a projected top 5, top 10 pick. He never faltered. He never once were people like, this guy had a bad this, had a bad that. He's probably going to be late first now. He was always a consistent top 5 pick, top 10. I know some people towards closer to the draft were like, they were taking bets on, is he going to be a top 5 pick or not? And I think Vegas kind of made him a little favored him to be out.
Him in any mock was maybe 7, I think 6 or 7.
Agree. Yeah, I think that's honestly the worst I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll meet in the middle, 5 to 10. He was at worst, the 7th overall pick was like his worst projected spot. That's pretty good in my opinion. I mean, obviously you have to hit the field and you have to play well to prove you're not a bust, but the general consensus on this kid was that he's a top 7 draft pick all year long. Never faltered. So I love that because you look at some of the other guys. Cam Ward, when you go back to last year before the season started, Cam Ward was like the 20th overall quarterback in college. He played really well for Miami. But again, in my opinion, I don't see the traits that make him an elite quarterback, not number 1 overall. I think he could be good, like a decent, quarterback, potentially, long-term backup. I just don't see it as a starting franchise-changing quarterback, but good luck to him. Then you get to Travis Hunter, same thing. Travis Hunter in the 2023 season, got hurt, missed most of the season. 2024 came in, played really well, won the Heisman. We know how it goes. 3rd overall pick was Abdul Carter. He's another guy. He flew up the boards. There were times where they had him projected to go a little later because he's undersized. Then he had some injury history or some injury problems, and that's a red flag. There were teams that I heard that didn't know if he'd get cleared medically. He had a lingering foot issue right as soon as the season ended, and again, he's undersized. I defended him because I wanted the Browns to take him for a long time, and I'm not trying to shit on him now that he's not a Cleveland Brown, but he is small. He's the same size as Micah Parsons, who by definition is an undersized defensive end. He just knows how to play within his size, and he can disrupt games. Now, Abdul Carter has to do the same thing. If Abdul Carter can't disrupt games like Micah Parsons, he will be a bust because he is too small. So I'm not saying he will be, but that's the huge concern with him. Then you get to the 4th overall pick, and I'm only going to do the top 5. I just want to get to the Browns. And offensive lineman from, was it LSU? I can't remember his name. The Patriots took an offensive lineman. I just can't remember his fucking name off the top of my head. Yeah, brain fart. I'm having a brain fart. But
right now.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know it's an offensive tackle. They definitely took him number 4 overall. I just can't remember his name. Matthews? Is it Matthews? Williams? Something like that. Am I in the ballpark?
Let's see here. Fucking NFL.com is so horrible.
Oh, it's nice and slow. It's going to give you a bunch of pop-ups. It's going to ask you if you want to subscribe.
Will Campbell, LSU.
Campbell. I knew it was like a very common last name. Will Campbell, not Williams. Whatever. I had Will.
Of course.
Will Campbell. Will Campbell, the offensive tackle, is selected by the New England Patriots to help that offense out a little bit. And then number 5 overall, the Browns sat there, and there were some rumors on the draft that the Browns weren't done. They were looking to trade back again. Supposedly, they took some phone calls from the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears said, hey, we'd like to move up to 5 to take Ashton Genty because we want a running back, and Genty's going to get taken, hit the next pick from the Raiders. And the Browns told them their price. Bears said no thank you, and the Browns said, all right, then we're taking our pick. So that's the rumor that I heard. The Browns did try to trade back to 10, but again, I think they were asking for a 2026 first-round pick, and they said, "Okay, you want 5?"
The Browns walked away with 3 first-round picks for next year.
I think, I swear to God, I think they, honest to God, were trying to. Because I mean, I'd have to relook at the draft board, but at number 10, there were some decent players sitting there, so I do think they were interested in going back if they could have. But the Bears said no, so the Browns said, "Fine, we'll stay right here. We'll take Mason Graham. We love this kid," and they take him. Immediately, Browns fans, of course, because they are the dumbest people in the world. They are the worst fan base in the world, in my opinion. They're the best, but the worst. I know it's a double-edged sword there to say that, but they are really stupid and very passionate. Most people I saw immediately shit on the pick. I needed to do some dissecting on it and sleeping on it. Again, I know it's a good pick. I know, it's not a sexy pick. I had to keep telling my father-in-law that. Which he agreed with me, but I had to keep saying that. Tara got mad, or not mad, but Tara was like, "Stop saying sexy pick." I'm like, that's a fucking term in football, because a sexy pick is like a quarterback, a wide receiver, not a defensive tackle or an offensive lineman. Those are not sexy picks. But the Browns took a defensive tackle, and again,
stop sexualizing football, Justin. Jesus.
I have to. I mean, when you're plugging holes and you're grabbing balls, that's just what you do in football.
Touche.
It's very, very horny. But the Browns defensive line is fucking loaded. We wanted Abdul Carter because the thought of Abdul Carter opposite Myles Garrett was super great if it worked out. Now you're going Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, Michael Hall Jr., and then Obo Okoronkwo. I can never say his fucking name. Joe Tryon. They've got a bunch of guys. I'm sure they'll get more guys on the defensive end. Don't forget that in May of 2023, I think it was. Yeah, May of 2023 is when Andrew Berry surprised everybody and traded for Zadarius Smith for like a fucking 6th-round pick or whatever the hell it was. So I don't think the Browns are done. I know they acquired a couple extra picks for the 2026 draft, so don't be surprised if they try to use those picks to bring in some talent. Because the Browns, and we'll get to it, they do need some defensive line help, in my opinion. We have plenty of players at defensive end, but none that really stand out to me, aside from Myles. So I want some help there. And then we have a huge hole at safety, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go after a veteran in that department as well. And then we still need some wide receivers. I don't like our wide receivers room. But as the rest of this draft will show you, I think there's a new era of Cleveland Browns offense. So with the 33rd overall pick, the Browns stood in that spot, and everyone thought they were going to trade. Everyone all fucking night. This is what really made it annoying about Shedeur Sanders, and it's not his fault. I don't knock the kid. I knock the media. Every fucking minute of every round until he got drafted was Shedeur Sanders watch. It was, which team's taking Shedeur? What are you hearing? Why hasn't Shedeur been taken? Who's going to trade up to take Shedeur here? All right, round 1 ends. No one takes Shedeur Sanders. Round 2, number 33, Browns all night have the first pick of the 2nd round. Every fucking show. I think the Browns are going to take Shedeur Sanders here with the 33rd overall pick. It makes too much sense. Browns are going to take him. I bet the Browns are fielding phone calls, people that want to come up and get Shedeur Sanders. Doesn't happen. I had to listen to this all fucking weekend because he was a top 10 pick on everyone's big board. So all fucking weekend long, the number 1 on the best available was Shedeur Sanders. So everyone had to talk about it. Mel Kiper fucking blew a gasket talking about Shedeur Sanders and how the NFL is full of a bunch of idiots that don't know what they're doing. And everyone and their brother made a joke of, somebody check Mel Kiper's FanDuel account, because he definitely had a bet on Shedeur Sanders going early, and it did not happen. So he was pissed.
He was very passionate about that. Like, I don't know how that makes
I've never seen him that passionate about another pick in my life.
I don't know how he has the job. I really don't.
It's crazy to me because, again, you can like a guy and just be like, I have him ranked here. But, again, I don't want to toot my own horn. I didn't think he'd go to the 5th round, but I said for the longest time, I said, Shedeur Sanders is a 2nd-round pick. I can show you all my texts I had in my group text where my uncle would spend all day going, man, the Browns have to take Shedeur Sanders. He's the best player. They need a fucking quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And I would joke with them, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they'll think about it in round 3. Like, I would make jokes like that, but I was like half joking. I was also being kind of sincere of like, I think Shedeur Sanders is a day 2 kind of guy, to be honest. And ended up going day 3. But on day 2, the number 33 overall pick, the Cleveland Browns stayed in their spot, and they took a position I never thought they would take this early. They took Carson Schlesinger, the linebacker from UCLA, who led the nation in tackles. He is a walk-on who played there for 3 years. He didn't get a ton of starts until his junior year. And when he did, he made the most of it. He had 100-something plus tackles, just has a nose for the football, takes really good angles. He was the general consensus top 40 player on almost every big board I saw, had him going right about where he went. So there were a lot of fans who didn't know who he was because they don't do a lot of draft like prep, and immediately started shitting on the pick because it should have been this guy, should have been that guy, what a wasted pick, blah, blah, blah. I think he's a really good player. Unfortunately for me, this screams JOK's career is probably over.
But what could you imagine if it's not? And we get JOK back at some point next year, combined with that linebacker. You have an inside and an outside linebacker now.
I mean, even if JOK has to miss a full season, another one. Don't get me wrong, I'd be devastated. I love the guy. I truly love JOK. I think he's a great person, just based on everything I've seen him do. He's a big advocate for his homeland. Great football player, great instinct, leaves it all on the field, especially speaking of Abdul Carter earlier. JOK is kind of undersized for a linebacker, but he uses it to his advantage to avoid blockers and to get through gaps. And that neck injury was brutal last year, and I was really hoping it would be a quick thing. But then I started seeing some rumors of people saying they think he might have broken his neck, not just a stinger. And, he's been out for 6 months now. And they draft the second round, number 33 overall linebacker. Kind of makes me think he's not going to be ready at least for the 2025 season, which is devastating. Will he ever play again? God, I hope so. But only time will be determined, or only time will tell. So we'll see what happens there. But as of right now, I'm not holding my breath because no news is bad news. Kind of in the NFL, if they had good updates, Kevin Stefanski could be like, "Oh yeah, JOK is great. We expect him to play." They're silent. Not a peep has come out. Most local media people that talk about that say that the reason the Browns aren't saying anything is because they're kind of being nice and respectful to JOK, and they'll let him make a decision if he's going to retire or whatever the fuck, which would be devastating. But
did you see him in all those videos? The Browns are walking.
He was at the facility last week, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's great to see. He's going to practice." And then I'm like, "But I don't know if that means anything." And sure enough, no updates. So I don't know.
But you know what, though? One can hope. Maybe he does take another year off. Maybe it's just a rehab year for him. Maybe he comes back next year. Maybe he comes back halfway through the year. But either way, you got somebody who can kind of fill in for him at least. Maybe not the same kind of skill set as JOK has, but somebody who's going to be enough to be in the gap, the holes to make those tackles that we desperately need as a linebacker. Because the one thing the Browns are not known for is definitely not having linebackers. So it's nice to get some people back that could potentially help us.
Yeah, he was so good at getting to the line of scrimmage and getting tackles for loss, and just all of a sudden you're like, they show the replay and you're like, look at how he snaked through this guy. It was so great to watch him play. So again, hoping nothing but the best for him, but I'm also being realistic about it. Excuse me. Then in our next pick in the second round, again, I don't remember off the top of my head, it was like 36 or 38 or something like that. The one we got from the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cleveland Browns select Quinshon Judkins. He goes before Trevion Henderson from the Ohio State University. He is a beast. He is a good running back. He is sort of like a Nick Chubb, where he's a powerful running back, but he also has some breakaway speed, but he's got a little more power to him. He's a north-south runner, going to go right up the middle, right in between the tackles, which is perfect. That's what we need in this offense.
A Chubb guy, right up the middle, yeah.
He really is, because current roster, Jerome Ford was really the only running back worth a fuck. We had Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong I don't think is going to make the team. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerome Ford is released or traded, because I don't think he's going to want to be the third running back, because, spoiler alert, Quinshon Judkins was not the only running back the Browns took. So that running back room went from empty to crowded in a matter of a weekend. And again, this was another instance, we'll get to it when I talk about it, but Browns fans bitching about these picks too. I don't understand why Browns fans are just fucking so miserable, but it is what it is. So that was our second round draft picks. We took Quinshon Judkins and Carson Schlesinger, a linebacker and a running back, after taking a defensive tackle. So obviously showing a little bit of urgency on the defense, which was bad last year. And that's another thing I don't think a lot of Browns fans are taking into consideration with the Mason Graham pick or the Carson Schlesinger. We have Jim Schwartz as our defensive coordinator. Jim Schwartz was the assistant coach of the year 2 years ago. The Browns had the number one defense in football, depending on which metric you looked at. Last year, they sucked. They had a really bad run defense. What do you do to fix a run defense? You get a run-stopping defensive tackle, and you get a tackling machine at linebacker. That's really going to help your defense. Browns fans, instead, they bitch about it. I don't know why, but they bitched about it.
Well, because
and then on offense,
you have to be miserable about something, right? So
true, and that's all they do is find something.
We already think the Browns are going backwards, and I think there's been like websites I've seen that have come across my Facebook feed. It's like the Browns are going to have the worst team of the year, right? And it's like, how do we know that? Like, really? I mean, the Browns don't have a bad team, and we just improved a couple spots we needed to improve on. How do we go backwards? Oh, because we have 5 quarterbacks? That shit's going to shake out eventually. Who cares?
And I look at it as the defense it's on paper, the defense should be really fucking good. And if you're shutting teams down and you're creating turnovers and you're not letting teams score, you don't really have to do a lot on offense. Our offense is not by any stretch going to be explosive, I don't think, just based on the current roster. But it's going to be good enough to do some work. So after the Browns took Mason Graham and after the Browns took Carson Schlesinger, immediately people started bitching and saying they do realize, as an offense, you have to score touchdowns to win in the NFL. So boom, they take a running back. Not good enough. Still bitching about it. Browns fans are still mad. Who scores touchdowns? Running backs do. So the Browns draft a running back. Browns fans aren't happy about it. Okay. Who else scores touchdowns? Tight ends. How about the only tight end in the draft to lead every tight end in the nation in college last year in every fucking statistical category, to have a 30% broken tackle rate, to have the speed and athleticism of a wide receiver, but plays tight end? One Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green State University.
What a pick that was. My God.
I loved it. He was on my list. I talked about him last week with you guys. I said in the 3rd round, a target that I have is Harold Fannin Jr. I think he would go really well in this offense. I'm not saying I want him to go anywhere, but David Njoku is in his last year of his contract. So it's time to maybe look for the future. And is Harold Fannin Jr. his replacement? We'll see. Or maybe they keep David Njoku and those two are a 2-headed tight end monster for a time being.
An offense with 2 tight ends. We've proven it in the past. If you have 2 capable tight ends.
And that is exactly what this team is doing this year. That's why they did not put an emphasis on wide receiver. We are back to the 2 tight end Stefanski offense. And that's also why they drafted a second running back in the 4th round. I think they took him in the 4th, but in the 3rd round, there was one more pick. This was pick number 94 or 96, whatever the fuck. And this one set the internet ablaze. The Browns finally take a quarterback. Not Shedeur Sanders. They take Dillon Gabriel, the 5'11 quarterback out of Oregon. Browns fans immediately just start saying this guy sucks. Dillon Gabriel, from what this is again, very uneducated Browns fans, immediately just start bitching. This little guy can't play in the NFC North. He's got a weak arm, this and that. Dillon Gabriel set one of the highest records for velocity on his pass at 70-something miles an hour, up there with Josh Allen, and I forgot who the 3rd quarterback. There's another person who's like in the upper 70s that Dillon Gabriel, I think, beat or was just under. But one of them was Josh Allen. So if you think Josh Allen has a pretty strong arm, Dillon Gabriel throws it just as hard. Doesn't have the strong arm to go as deep like Josh Allen.
Is he like the commercial back in the day where they threw the football through the wall and they caught it through the wall or whatever? Remember that commercial?
Basically, Dillon Gabriel can do that. He set like the Senior Bowl record for throwing it at like 78 miles an hour or something like that for his velocity.
At his height, though, he's only going to be hitting the back of the lineman helmets, though. So
I will say somebody had a really good joke on a local radio show. They called in and they were like, they said, I hope we have a bunch of backup offensive linemen because ours are going to have concussions from getting hit in the back of the head by Dillon Gabriel.
Look, I like statistically great quarterback, but we had this conversation with Baker Mayfield how many times? The height is a real issue. You'd have to draw an offensive plan up that he'd have to have rollouts a lot, or the line would have to move for him to see those gaps. And that's a challenge in the NFL, right? So I get the talent. I get why we brought him in. And I get that he's going to be really good at those short offensive plays that Stefanski likes to run, the dink and doinks, the checkdowns, right? The style of offense. I just don't see him being a starter. We drafted him as a backup. I think that's literally what we drafted him for.
Let me give you something. Where is it? It was just from the other day. Give me 1 second to find it. Okay. So while I agree with you, 5'11 is short. I'm not trying to talk anybody into this pick. I know you can't make him grow.
You would be such a hypocrite if you did not say it was short because you had such an issue with Baker about it.
Well, the problem I had with Baker was also known for getting balls batted down at his size. There were a lot of flaws in Baker's game. Dillon Gabriel can throw the ball around and not get it batted down. Dillon Gabriel set records in college for like the most touchdown passes and things like that. He was extremely effective, and his height really didn't stand out on film in college. And Dillon Gabriel is also way more athletic than Baker and can run the ball more effectively than Baker Mayfield and like scramble around a little bit better. Now, here's where I did some work, because this was where Daryl Ryder was on local radio the other day, and he was complaining about Dillon Gabriel, saying how short he is and how, you know, he's not going to be able to see over his offensive lineman, blah, blah, blah. So I did a quick Google search. Google told me that Oregon's offensive line last year consisted of a 6'5" left tackle, pretty standard in the NFL. That's good height. A 6'2" left guard, 6'2" center, 6'3" right guard, and a 6'5" right tackle. His offensive line was the standard height you're going to find in the NFL, off, you know, give or take a couple inches depending on the player. So it's not like Oregon was like, shit, we have this tiny little guy, we have to get 6 foot and under offensive linemen. They got normal 6'5", 6'3" guys, and he had no problem throwing the ball around them. Again, setting NCAA records for touchdowns. Do I think Dillon Gabriel is going to come to the NFL and be a starting quarterback? Highly unlikely. But the fact that Browns fans were shitting on this pick so much as if he's a horrible quarterback is crazy to me. And again, I'm not trying to compare him to this player, but there was another 5'11" quarterback who got taken in the 3rd round many years ago. Pretty damn good. His name's Russell Wilson. Identical.
We're jumping ahead here.
Well, I only say it because the player comps from a lot of people before the draft was Russell Wilson for Dillon Gabriel. So again, I'm not saying he's going to be Russell Wilson, but I'm just saying it. Russell Wilson specifically, you can look at his throw charts, and I told Kyle this many months ago when Russell Wilson was rumored to be a Cleveland Brown.
Did you say throat charts or throw charts?
Whichever one you wanted to hear.
No, I mean, I'm curious. Okay.
No, if you look at his throw charts from games, Russell Wilson does not like to throw the ball over the middle of the field because of his size. He's afraid of getting balls batted down, which has worked for his career. He is an outside passer. Dillon Gabriel can throw the ball wherever. Yes, you do run a higher risk of getting balls batted down because of the height. But again, Dillon Gabriel set NCAA college records. Dillon Gabriel faces defenses with players in the defensive line. Some go to the NFL, and some are 6'5" and 6'6", and they're these big, you know, athletic defensive linemen. He took his team to the college championship or playoffs. They were the number 1 ranked team in football last year. So his height really isn't that big of a deal to him.
All that to still be only probably a number 2 on a team, if that. I don't.
Yes,
see him,
but
see him being a starter. But I get it.
And again, I know a lot of Browns fans don't want to hear this because I won't say I defended him on Twitter or on social media, but I did to an extent because I said, this was before it came out. I said maybe he was drafted because he's just a really smart football player, and they think that he could be a career backup. Because career backup is a very important position. How many times do NFL teams, their seasons go in the fucking toilet because their starting quarterback gets hurt? Maybe the Browns are drafting Dillon Gabriel because they do think that if they take a quarterback high next year, Dillon Gabriel could be this guy's backup for the next 10 years. They want that. Again, how many teams your season is in the toilet if your starting quarterback goes down? Take a look at the Minnesota Vikings last year. J.J. McCarthy was the starting quarterback. J.J. McCarthy tore his ACL in training camp. Sam Darnold, their backup quarterback, comes in. Sam Darnold was a bust. Sam Darnold was like the 6th overall pick or whatever, or the 3rd overall pick, whatever the fuck. He was a high draft pick by the Jets. Sucked. He's bounced around. He played with fucking Carolina. He played with the Niners, goes to Minnesota to be a backup to J.J. McCarthy, gets a starting job, plays phenomenally. There were MVP discussions with him. I get it. He's taller than Dillon Gabriel. I'm not comparing the height or anything like that. But you have guys who look like they're going to be career backups who can actually play after they get a little bit of time. And the one thing I said to people that they didn't want to hear was maybe they drafted him specifically wanting him to be a backup quarterback for the future. And maybe he's really fucking smart. I was like, I don't know anything about Dillon Gabriel outside of football. I said, maybe this dude's really smart. Maybe he blew him away in the meeting and they were like, what do you see here on this play? What do you see on this play? And he's like, boom, 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 fucking genius. And they're like, this guy's really good. We want him to be a part of our quarterback room because Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett are veterans right now. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco won't be in Cleveland next year. They both have 1 year deal, 1 year left on their contracts. And the Browns already declined, which they would, of course not. They declined Kenny Pickett's 5th year option. which again, there was no chance they were going to pick it up anyway. Joe Flacco has like a $4 million deal right now. That's it. The rest of his money is all based on incentives. He's very cuttable. Kenny Pickett, very tradable or cuttable if they want to. Neither of these guys are going to be here next year. So Dylan Gabriel will likely be your mentor to a rookie quarterback next year. And then the next day, Dane Brugler, who I really follow, I respect and follow on social media, a local guy who covers the draft, he posts every executive he spoke with that interviewed Dylan Gabriel said he was by far the most impressive quarterback they met and spoke to in the meetings, which I went, ding, ding, ding. I fucking nailed that. This dude must be a smart player with a potential. He's Kellen Moore. He's a career backup with head coaching aspirations is how I see it. So who better to have in your room? And again, Browns fans didn't want to hear it. They're like, with the fucking 94th overall pick, you can't draft a backup who you think is going to just be a fucking locker room guy. Sure you can. Sure you can. Because you hope he never has to play. But if he does, here's a really smart guy who you hope is not going to make a bunch of fucking mistakes and tank your season. That's what the Browns are thinking with this pick. So I'm okay with the pick. This draft, in my opinion, from top to bottom, once you got out of like pick number 15, was trash. This was truly one of the worst draft classes I've ever seen in my history of following the NFL draft. It was bad. There were not many can't miss prospects that, like Harold Fannin could be a gigantic bust. He was one of the best college football players we'll ever see. Could be a bust in the NFL. You never know. It's just a huge crapshoot.
I mean, look, everyone outside of Shedeur Sanders, I loved our draft. I gave us like an A. I really did. I think we filled what we had to fill for wise. We brought a lot of talented people in there going to compete for jobs. Day one starters, probably. I feel deep. Let me ask you, because it's been asked already all week, and I saw the reaction when they drafted him. Was Shedeur a pick for Barry? Was it a call in for no? They're saying let's take him.
No, I think it was a Barry pick. I think the reactions that you saw are overblown, and it's because it's Shedeur Sanders. I saw somebody else that made a compilation video, and it was of the Browns making all of their picks throughout the weekend. Basically the same reaction. It's Kevin Stefanski going, and Andrew Barry just kind of sitting there like, same thing, maybe clapping, but like there wasn't a lot of expression for anybody. But because it was Shedeur Sanders, everyone's like, look at them. Then they interviewed Stefanski about it after the fact, and he goes, the feed you see on TV isn't always lined up with what's happening at that moment. So he's like, maybe they just caught us while we were sitting there, like doing something else. And then everyone's like, this is when they called Shedeur. Because if you look, everyone's sitting there. No one's on a phone. No one's talking to anybody. I'd like to see the clip of when they call Shedeur, because if they're celebrating then, that changes the entire narrative. They're waiting and showing them while they're just watching TV. So yeah. I don't buy anything into that. And I think Shedeur Sanders was taken because they didn't expect him to be there. So that's what I think.
The mindset is they took him there. Obviously, you don't have much invested. I mean, it's a $4.5 million salary commitment as opposed to a $44 million salary commitment. Now you have somebody who you don't know what you have in him. You put him in a room where he competes during training camp, and best case, he shakes out to be a really fucking great quarterback that you're like, shit, this guy could be our starter maybe later in the year, or he shakes out to be nothing but a problem, a head case, another Johnny Manziel, and you cut him with no loss at the end of training camp, right?
He's a fifth-round pick. How many times have you seen the Browns, or any other team for that matter, draft a guy 5th, 6th, 7th round, whatever, and when they get drafted, you know the name. Like, as a Browns fan, I pay attention to the draft classes. There's been plenty of guys who we have in the 5th, 6th round who, in training camp, don't play that well, and then it's the end of training camp, it's cut day, and they get cut, and you're like, oh, man, they just drafted that guy. I didn't think he'd get cut, but they go, no, he didn't make the team. It happens all the fucking time. I know 5th round is a little high, but I also think they took him because, say what you will, the media wanted you to think Shedeur Sanders should have been the number 2 overall pick. The behind-the-scenes GMs and NFL executives came out and kind of said, we see him as a day 2 or 3 kind of guy. Okay, that's fair. That means 2nd or 3rd round. We got him in the 5th. That's the best fucking value. Here's a quarterback who some say should go number 2, some say should go day 2. You got him middle of day 3. Fucking value. I really don't think they had the intentions of taking 2 quarterbacks. I think he fell there at pick 144, and the Browns were like, too good to pass up. Again, next year we're not going to have Kenny Pickett. 99% chance. Next year, Joe Flacco might be in a retirement home. So there's almost 100% chance he won't be here. You're going to need more quarterbacks. So right now, I'm looking ahead. Our 2026 quarterback room is Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and then maybe Deshaun Watson as a healthy scratch every week. So I don't count him towards the roster. But that's your quarterback room for 2026. And then you assume you're going to use your Jacksonville Jaguars pick, or maybe we have a horrible season, or maybe the Jags have a horrible season. Who knows? And you draft your franchise, hopefully potential franchise quarterback next year. So now you have two guys that have been on your team for a full year who were 3rd and 5th round draft picks, which in a pinch, you can move on from them if you really have to in the future. There's no real investment into either. And I don't think they had the intentions of taking 2 quarterbacks. I know after the draft, everyone wanted to shit on the Browns and what the fuck is this team doing? They took 2 quarterbacks. Again, this dude was projected to be the 2nd overall pick, and you got him at pick 144. Are you really going to complain about that? That's pretty good value, in my opinion. Maybe he balls out, and you go, fuck yeah, we found our franchise quarterback at a pick 144. Or maybe he sucks, and you go, it was pick 144.
Right.
But before we got to Shedeur on day 3, the Browns took another running back, and that is Dylan Sampson from the University of Tennessee, the Kareem Hunt to Nick Chubb. This dude is fast. He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Fast as fuck. Thunder and lightning for the Cleveland Browns. Again, moronic Browns fans came out and said, why the fuck are they taking 2 running backs? What the hell is this team thinking? Mind you, when our offense was at its best, how many times did I have to argue with people that the Browns are not going to put Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on the field at the same time because they're too valuable individually? No one wanted to hear that. I've had to argue with so many fucking people in my life of, why don't the Browns just put out Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt at the same time? And I said, because it makes more sense to have one of them rested, so when you need them, here's fresh legs. Other guy, go catch your breath. Not both of you run at the same time. Nobody wanted to hear that. I had to argue with so many fucking people, and it never happened because it didn't make sense. Now you have the same great problem to have. You have 2 really good running backs. Sampson is a burner. He can catch a fucking screen route and take it 100 yards. Quinshon Judkins will run up the tackles, and he can take it for 100 yards if he wants to.
You think Ford is a casualty?
I think they're going to look to trade him.
Do you think they signed Chubb for a 1-year deal based on health-wise? If he checks out, if he doesn't get signed anybody, get him for a cheap deal. There's a veteran in the room. You bring
if they can find a trade partner for Ford. I don't think they do it unless Ford is off the roster. I don't think they bring in Chubb with Ford on the roster, because then you're really stuck in a tough situation of, do you cut Jerome Ford for nothing, who's a younger, fresher running back, for an aging player like Nick Chubb? And same thing, you don't sign Nick Chubb and then give yourself a tough choice of, Jerome Ford looked way better in training camp. We have to cut Nick Chubb. Browns fans would be fucking livid. So I think they have to make that decision if Nick Chubb, or if Jerome Ford is not on the roster.
Do you want Nick Chubb on the team if we have the opportunity to bring him back for a year?
Yeah, as your 3rd running back. If we got down to as long as he accepts that role and Browns fans accept that role, that he's the 3rd running back, he's not starting, he's not getting a majority of the carries. There will be games where he might only get 3 snaps, and they need to accept that, because if it comes to the point where we have so many injuries that Nick Chubb is your starting running back, the season's in the toilet anyway. So let him along for the ride. If they want. If they don't want to, I totally understand, because again, it's just going to come with drama.
Valuable for him to be, if we did bring him in, valuable in that room with 2 rookies to kind of help them develop to be what they
100%
do and help them and show them. And honestly, we might get a game or 2 out of Chubb where it's like flashes of old, where he might have a break one for a touchdown or help get a couple yards. We need him to get a couple yards, right? I mean, it's there. A running back.
The only other thing I can think of, though, is they're doing it out of respect. They're doing it out of respect for Nick Chubb of, do you really want to spend your last couple potential years in the NFL on what looks to be a rebuilding team for the Cleveland Browns? I would say it's safe to say, looking at this roster, this team is not suited to try to win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
I know Browns fans don't want to hear that, but that's the unfortunate truth. Do you want Nick Chubb to waste another year here? Or would you rather go, you know what? Go sign with the Chicago Bears, who have fucking gone all in on their team. They have loaded up that offense. They've loaded up that defense. They are doing everything in their power to win now. Or, a team similar to the Chicago Bears. If he goes to a team that's on the doorstep of being a contender or an actual contender, more power to you, dude. Go win a fucking ring. If he signs with the Chiefs or the fucking Eagles, great. Congratulations, dude. You earned it. But yeah, if he goes and signs with like, I don't know, the fucking Colts or something, then you're kind of like, Nick, come on, man. But I get it. A job's a job for him. But
No,
I'd like to go with it. I'd like to see him either be a Cleveland Brown or play for a Super Bowl. That's it. But NFL is a tricky business. Back-to-back years of season-ending injuries. One gruesome as fuck. Clearly last year he was not the same player. Unfortunately for a running back in football, extra time off doesn't necessarily do you any good because you just get older and a little slower. So yeah, if Jerome Ford's not on the team and they want to bring in Nick Chubb for a 1-year deal or something like that, but then you're going to have the same fucking problem next year of Browns fans refusing to accept the fact that they need to move on from him. So it is what it is. I can understand if they don't bring him back. I truly could. So they get the double-headed monster at running back, and then, of course, at pick 144. Their last pick of the weekend, they trade up a few picks to jump Philadelphia, which a lot of people are overlooking. The rumor is that Philly was going to take Shedeur Sanders at pick 145. The Browns had to trade up to get ahead of them, and they took him. That's the rumor that I heard, for what it's worth. The Philly Eagles were like, fuck it. We could use another backup. We lost Kenny Pickett. We have DTR. We can just cut DTR. Who gives a fuck? And we have Shedeur Sanders. And the Browns jumped him, took him. And the rest is history. 144th pick. He is going to be the bottom of the pecking order. I think right now, gun to my head, give me Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback. Kenny Pickett gets traded. And then you have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders as 2 and 3. I think that's how you're going to pretty much go. And again, they are all going to get a fair shot in training camp. Shedeur Sanders, if he's smart, I know he's in town. He's filming videos of himself working out. He's filming videos of him going to the Browns gym in the flats. He did a speech to the children at John Marshall High School today. So he's doing his part in the community. But, and again, I'm sure he already did. But if you're Shedeur Sanders, first things first, go get that fucking playbook, learn the offense, do everything in your power to win that job if you want it. That's the only way you're going to succeed is to fucking earn it. Rumors are the Browns told him that. The Browns called him and they basically said, hey, Shedeur, we know we took Dylan Gabriel. We know this is pick number 144, but just know we want you as a Cleveland Brown, but you have to earn everything you're going to get. You're starting from the bottom here. You're nobody to us because of your last name. They didn't say that specifically, but they basically told him, like, you have to earn everything.
I just hope Deion stays out of the picture. Let your son do what your son does.
And I think he will. On the best thing to happen, sorry to interrupt, but I had to say this to my father-in-law, who immediately goes, what a fucking stupid pick. This is going to ruin the team and blah, blah. And I said, Deion Sanders is the head coach of Colorado. They're pretty busy during the football season. So Deion's not going to have a lot of time to come here fucking around with his kid. He's going to have a team to coach. So as long as he's doing shit with Colorado, yes, he might go on talk shows and podcasts and all this, but I also think he's going to have respect for his son to not put his foot in his mouth, no pun intended, because he's losing his foot. But if he keeps his mouth shut and lets his son just be on the team, be quiet, do your job, everything will be fine. If Deion starts spouting out into the media, making it a thing where they have to have press conferences with Stefanski and say, hey, Kevin, what do you think of what Deion said about Shedeur? Kevin's going to be like, Shedeur Sanders is a Cleveland Brown. He's our third-string quarterback. I'm not paying any mind to what people are saying on the outside. And the next day, Shedeur Sanders is going to get released. So Deion, if he's smart, keep his fucking mouth shut. But again, the best thing to happen is he's very busy during this time.
I think it also helped, too, that Shedeur got drafted in the 5th round. I think it kind of humbled him a little bit, potentially. But then I go and see this news report that he threw his big flashy party after he got drafted in the 5th round, of all these rappers and everything being there. But, I'm hoping it humbled him a little bit, going, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Maybe I do need to learn. Maybe I need to take some pointers and really bust my ass to be in the NFL. And it's not going to be given to me, right? Unlike Johnny Manziel, the comparison's already there, right? People are already comparing Johnny Manziel to Johnny Manziel. So I'm hoping he comes in, puts his head down, does the work, shows his worth, shows he deserves to be here, and goes from there. But what I don't want to see happen is what we are afraid of, is that after one bad or two bad games by Flacco, whoever our starter is, that the fans start cheering for Sanders to come into the game, like we had with Manziel a couple years ago. That will absolutely piss me off.
It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's Cleveland. That's kind of why I don't want Nick Chubb, because if, God forbid, Sampson or Judkins fumble, Judkins has a little bit of a longer leash because he's from Ohio State. But if Sampson fumbles, then everyone's going to be like, fucking put if he's on the roster, put Chubb in. What the fuck are they doing? Chubb doesn't fumble. Like it's always the bridesmaid is always the sexier person than the bride to Browns fans, Cleveland fans in general. I mean, I don't want to shift gears just yet because I have a couple more things to add here, but just look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers played their last 2 playoff games without Darius Garland with a toe injury, and they beat the absolute shit out of the Miami Heat. So what happened? Rather than Browns fans just being happy that their team, or Cavs fans being happy that their team just had a 4-game sweep, a dominant sweep, they go, what should we trade Darius Garland for in the offseason? We're a better team without Darius Garland. I swear to God, that's the conversation. My buddy texted me last night and goes,
a couple times online where we're a better team without Garland, that Mitchell plays better, the team chemistry is better without Garland on the floor. Did we miss the fact that we had one of our best seasons ever since LeBron with Garland being a starter, or did we just forget that already?
And an all-star, yeah. No, see, the problem again with fans, and Ken Carman put it beautifully, I think it was today, but I had a buddy, if the Cavs can pull this trade off, yes, I would do it. He said, hey, if I'm the Cavs, I offer Milwaukee some first-round picks and Darius Garland for Giannis.
In way they're getting Giannis.
Well, Giannis is, from what I heard, Giannis is a goner. I heard he's gone. I agree
with you, but
right? No. I'm saying that if the Cavs offered that deal, because Miami does not have a first-round pick until 2031 is their own. They have a first-round pick. They have no first-round picks till then. Their salary cap is fucked. They have a bunch of guys becoming free agents. Dame Lillard just tore his Achilles. Dame Lillard's 35 years old. You're not recovering from that, unfortunately. It was sad to see that happen to Dame. But they're kind of fucked. So the rumor is Giannis is gone. Now it's a matter of which teams are going to be going after him and what's the package they can offer. In my gun to my head, depending on what happens this year with them, even if they do win the championship, I could see Oklahoma City going after Giannis. They have a plethora of young talent and a plethora of first-round draft picks that they could load up to Milwaukee and say, start your rebuild process, use these draft picks, we'll take Giannis, thank you very much, they have the cap space, et cetera, et cetera. I've also heard Miami is a very, very potential spot that Pat Riley is already working the phones to try to get a Giannis trade going. But we'll see, to be determined. I think it's safe to say he's not going to Indiana after what Tyrese Halliburton's dad did yesterday. So I think we can cross them off of the list of potential suitors.
I've never seen a grown man look like such a kid than I did yesterday when Giannis is looking down at this guy. It was the funniest thing ever.
I mean, honestly, kudos to Giannis for not beating the shit out of him. He got in his face and he talked to him like a man, didn't touch him, but I'm guessing in his broken English, he fucking spoke his mind, and I respect the hell out of that.
Well, he spoke that game away. Bucks had it. Bucks had that game won last night.
They did. Gary Trent Jr. When unfortunately when you gutted your team to go after Kyle Kuzma by getting rid of Chris Middleton, who was really the heart and soul of that team. Not only because he cost me multiple bets in the last week, but Brook Lopez is a fucking statue and a bum. Giannis is doing everything by himself. And then again, Dame Lillard came back, played 1.5 games before tearing his Achilles after the blood clots. They had no chance. They were a mess. They blew a fucking 20-point lead or whatever in the first quarter to lose the game in overtime.
Giannis had, what, 30, 20, and 11 last night? I mean,
something, dude, it was crazy. He had like a triple-double in the third quarter. And, he was basically doing it all by himself. Then Gary Trent Jr. came to life in the fourth quarter in overtime. And then some costly turnovers at the end, left it open for Indiana. And the Pacers close it out. The Pacers are coming to Cleveland this Sunday. I think they haven't announced a time yet at the game, but it's going to be this Sunday. But we'll get to that in a minute. I wanted to ask you why you think Shedeur Sanders slid. Do you think it was purely talent? Do you think it was because of a little bit of a humbling or a mixture of both? My theory, before I get your answer, is I'm sorry. I totally skipped on my thought. I meant to get to about the Cavs thing or the Giannis thing. I was talking about Ken Carman, and I fucking completely forgot to say it. Ken Carman brought up a really good point about people that are saying trade Darius Garland because Ty Jerome should be the everyday starter. He had a really good point, and he said Ty Jerome has started, I think, 10 games in his entire NBA career. Ty Jerome is a fantastic bench player. If Ty Jerome is in your starting lineup, teams are going to see more of Ty Jerome and figure out, specific defenses to play against him. Nothing against Ty Jerome, who's a fantastic player, but that drastically changes things for a player. Who knows if Ty Jerome will be as efficient if he's a starter? Same with like a guy like Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard won Sixth Man of the Year. Peyton Pritchard comes off the bench. Peyton Pritchard starts for your team. And I mean, yes, he looked good in some starting jobs for the Celtics this year because of injuries. But if he's your starting point guard on like the Bulls, probably not having games like that because he doesn't have that supporting cast around him. So it changes, the scenery changes drastically. And again, Ty Jerome is a great guy to come off the bench to bring you a spark. Starting, don't know if I would love that. But that was what Ken Carmen said today, and I was like, couldn't be better.
He does good spot starts. I'll give him that. He's doing well when he has to be called up, but I mean, he might still be a good player after he's not signing back to the Cavs next year. He's getting paid next year, right?
The Cavs probably can't afford him because I didn't even know that this was a thing. I didn't know it until I saw it. Obviously, Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year, and that kicked in a huge bonus into his contract, which really affects how much money the Cavs are going to have to spend next year.
Good for him. He deserved
it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking it. That's a great thing.
Last year too, but I mean, whatever. Good for him.
So really quick, though, we'll get back to the Shedeur slide. That's why this episode is called The Slide, because of Shedeur Sanders. I believe this was a bit of both. I think, yes, the talent wasn't there. Again, I said Shedeur Sanders is a day 2 pick. He slides to the 5th round. I truly believe that this was a moment of the NFL basically saying, the inmates do not run the asylum. The NFL has always been like that. I tried to tell people that with Myles Garrett. People were like, oh man, Myles Garrett once traded. Where do you think he goes? I said, he's not going anywhere. He has no fucking leverage. You have no leverage in the NFL. Teams will literally say, sit out and make no money. I don't give a fuck. And players will always, 100 times out of 100, come right back to the team or get back onto the field. Unless you're Deshaun Watson. He's the one instance because there was some very weird shit going on behind the scenes in that situation. But everybody else, Myles Garrett's demanded a trade. Nope. David Njoku. Nope. Kareem Hunt. Nope. And obviously so many other players have done this. I'm just naming Browns because it happens a lot to us. Tyreek Hill, as soon as the season ended last year, Tyreek Hill immediately did an interview and said, yeah, I got to get out of here. This isn't working for me anymore. Where's Tyreek Hill currently? A Miami Dolphin. He did not go anywhere. You have no leverage in the NFL. In the offseason, Shedeur Sanders was doing his press conferences and his interviews with teams. Rumor had it that he wasn't even taking interviews with teams outside of like the top 5 because he said, you're not taking me. I'm not wasting my time with you. The rumors came out, again, take it for what you will, that during the interview process, he showed up with headphones on. He was very dismissive, unprepared for some of the meetings. I guess he met with the New York Giants. And when he showed up, I think it was the Giants, they were asking him questions about things they wanted to know, and he wasn't prepared at all. And they kind of called him out on it of like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you show up to a meeting, we told you to do this, you didn't do it. Like, why do you think that's going to make us want to take you? The audio did leak of Dion saying shit at different conferences about how, we really hope he gets drafted by this team. We don't want, if he gets drafted by a bad team, we're going to demand a trade. Like, they were out there trying to dictate that they were going to run the fucking NFL. And I think this was Roger Goodell's way of saying, let's go ahead and let the Sanders family know who runs shit around here. And it fucking ain't you at pick 144. So he slid down the draft, and the Browns got him at a steal. Again, some people said he's the number 2 overall pick, worthy of it at least. Other people said, maybe 2nd round, 3rd round. We got him in the 5th. I can never be mad at that. If he pans out, fantastic. You look like fucking geniuses that you waited. You took this dude who could have gone 2. You got him at 144. Great. If he sucks, you go, hey, we took a shot on a guy that everybody said should be the 2nd overall pick. We got him at 144, and he proved that we should not have taken him at 2. So it looks like we did the right thing. So either way, it's really a fucking win-win for the Browns.
So you're buying into I've seen the stories of people coming out saying it was definitely a conspiracy theory. It was definitely the NFL against him. It was definitely all this bullshit going on. I could see that. I believe it was somewhat just a setup humbling that the NFL wanted to do. I truly think it was the fact that he just doesn't have the skill set. I think he's a good quarterback, right, for where he played. He's a good quarterback for what he did. He's a good quarterback for the offense that was ran for him. I mean, let's not lie. That offense was set up to make Shedeur Sanders look like a great quarterback, right? A lot of checkdowns, a lot of over the middles, a lot of pass outs. He doesn't have a run game. We know that about him. He is accurate, but he's accurate because the balls he threw most of the time were within 25 yards, right? Which are very, very easy passes to make for people who are wide the fuck open. Let's go back and look at the tape. How many passes did he thread the needle? How many passes did he lead players down the field for a touchdown? Not many. All his passes were across the middle where Hunter was 5 yards, 10 yards in front of a player, right? Or the tight end was 5 or 10 yards in front of him. So his offense was set up to make him look like a top tier quarterback. And I think NFL coaches or NFL people looked at that and go, he's good, but he's not someone I would bet the farm on, right? He's not going to change this offense, because you put an NFL cornerback on that, they're not giving you 5 yards. The linebacker's not giving that 25-yard across the middle shot. We're not giving you that. And so I think they just kind of saw what he was. Now, can he get better? Sure. So I think it's a combination of the interview process for sure, but I just don't think he has talent, man. I really don't. I want to be proven wrong. I want to believe in the kid. I think it'd be great to have him come in and light it up and whatnot. I just don't think it's there. I really just don't think it's there.
One of my favorite mottos that I use for football, or sayings, if you will, is the eye in the sky doesn't lie. And that means you can't fool my eyes when I'm watching, a player. Yeah. And Shedeur Sanders is that kind of player. And I've said it all along. I tried telling people that I don't see him as his top generational talent that should be number 2. As you said, we'll go over some quick pros and cons for Shedeur Sanders, which, again, decent pick by the Browns at 144. Pros and cons. One of the pros, as you mentioned, he had no running game. So their offense was so fucking heavy focused on passing, and he was able to help lead them to, help Travis Hunter get the Heisman, put up a great season. He had a super high completion percentage, which was great. So he's accurate. Colorado was not a good team, but at the end of the day, Colorado was also nothing special. They couldn't beat good teams. Then you go to another pro. His offensive line was terrible. It was really bad. One bad look for him, though, as a con, he blamed his offensive line one time after a game, which is not good. If you're a quarterback, you take your fucking beating like a man, and you say, that was my fault. I need to get rid of the ball faster. I need to be better. Be a fucking leader. Humbling experience. He's a young kid. I'm not going to hold it against him ever, as a college athlete. But his offensive line was trash. Now we get to some of the cons. Don't get me wrong, there are pros. Again, he was very accurate. I already said that. Some of the cons. He took a lot of sacks on purpose. Now, what I mean by that was there were a lot of rumors that people said that I didn't want to believe, that he would purposely take a sack to avoid throwing an incompletion, because an incompletion hurts his completion percentage. So he would just take a sack because he'd rather his stat look good. And then, as you mentioned, some of the throws, nothing special. He threw a lot of screenplays, and Cam Ward even kind of called him out on that as like a half joke. And he was like, hey, my completion percentage would be better than yours if I only threw checkdowns all fucking day.
That
like, he called him out on that
video, by the way. I watched that video.
I love that. When they were working out together, I saw it when it first happened. I loved it. But again, he's a 5th round pick. So yes, he has some pros. He has some cons. He has something. There is something to work with. So the Browns are going to do everything they can. And if there's one guy that I trust to work with a quarterback to get everything he fucking can out of them, it is Kevin Stefanski, as you guys know. So I am happy with the location for Shedeur Sanders. He's a Cleveland Brown. I will support him every step of the way, through and through. Couldn't be happier. Oh, we have a comment. I apologize. I'm running the board today, so I don't see it. What's up, Steve? He just said it now. Perfect. I thought I missed it like an hour. What's up, dude? We're doing a quick one, even though it's already an hour and a half, but we're going to wrap up the Browns draft talk. I can't help it. It's the Browns. What do you want from me?
I know.
But again, next week we'll do another quick episode where we will recap the entire draft, not pick by pick, but we'll go through some of our favorite picks, some of the most questionable picks, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so Shedeur Sanders, you're a Cleveland Brown. Welcome. I'm happy with the Browns draft overall. I think they didn't take a lot of sexy positions, but they took a lot of positions that we needed. Again, Browns fans are mad because we took a defensive tackle. We need a defensive tackle. Our run game was the worst our run D was the worst in football. We took a linebacker because A, our run defense was one of the worst in football, and B, JOK likely isn't playing next year. Our running back room was Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong. 2 bums, let's be honest. Jerome Ford is just a guy, an average running back. So we then get Quinshon Judkins and Sampson. Boom, boom. 2, starting 1, starting 2, or 1A, 1B, however you want to look at it. We now have 2 running backs in the room. Tight end, you have David Njoku and nothing else. You bring in Harold Fannin, who plays like a wide receiver, because we are going back to our 2 tight end offense. That's why they did not put an emphasis on wide receivers, because we are going to run the ball and we're going to throw the ball to tight ends. Harold Fannin and David Njoku both play as wide receivers, which is great for this offense, which is lacking wide receivers. And then, of course, they take the 2 quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, to battle to be backups. And again, Dylan Gabriel, from what I've heard, blew the Browns out of the fucking water with his interview and his, when they did, the interview process and all that, and had him break down plays and film and shit like that. Blew him away. Dude's probably a future head coach or a future offensive coordinator. So I don't mind that being in my locker room, being in my quarterback room when you have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, who are not going to be here next year. You then have a guy who's very smart, very intelligent, a good quarterback in college. What that means for the pros, I don't know, but he is now going to learn your offense for a full year and be able to hopefully mentor your quarterback next year, assuming you still need one in 2026. And then again, Shedeur Sanders, some people had as the number 2 overall pick. Some people had him as a day 2 pick. You got him at 144. I'll never complain about that. That's fucking value. That's like fantasy football. If you take a guy where you're like, well, shit, I already have 6 wide receivers, but if he's staring me in the face, I actually mentioned that earlier, Steve. Yeah, Gabriel threw the ball through a fucking wall at like 78 miles an hour. That's the same velocity as a guy like Josh Allen, who everyone says, Dylan Gabriel's, he's got a weak arm. He can't play in the AFC North. And meanwhile, he's throwing the ball 80 miles an hour. Pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good. I get it. He's a West Coast dude coming to the East Coast, but I'm not. Aaron Rodgers went from fucking California his whole life to Green Bay and was one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen. So some people can play well in cold weather, to be determined. They make long sleeves and fucking gloves or bundle up. All right. That gets us to currently the NBA playoffs are happening. Last I checked, the Houston Rockets are beating the absolute fuck out of the Golden State Warriors.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're beating the hell out of it right now.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
I didn't touch it. I didn't have a good vibe. I was like, part of me wants to take the underdog Golden State Warriors, but then I was like, I don't know. Is Steph Curry going to have one of his good games, or is reality kind of going to set in because Golden State's older? They don't look as sharp as they used to. The Golden State I'm used to seeing, but it is what it is. Fuck them. I hope they all break their ankles. I hate Golden State with a fiery passion. Oklahoma City gets shit done in 4 games. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies. The Denver Nuggets are currently up 3-2 over the Los Angeles Clippers in what is turning into a fantastic round, their series. The Lakers are down 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They could potentially end LeBron's season tonight. The funniest thing for me is the hate on LeBron.
Man, making him.
That's what he does. He sucks in the regular season for the most part. Doesn't suck. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but he is a playoff dog. He brings it out in the playoffs, which is great. More power to him. I love though the people that are trying to shit on LeBron that are like, first round exit. That's fucking embarrassing. It's like the dude's 40 years old. That's pretty fucking impressive. The fact that he got his team to the goddamn 2 seed or 3 seed, I'm sorry. And they're in the playoffs at all, considering all the negativity that surrounded that team this year.
Luka had something to do with that too. But
for sure. But I mean, Anthony Davis missed most of the season before they traded him. He's always hurt. LeBron still helped them keep their head above water. Then Luka came in, same thing. Luka had his struggles in the beginning. He had his good games, bad games. Who is the main consistent person? 40-year-old LeBron James, who everyone's trying to say is, oh, don't ever compare him to Jordan now because he's going to lose in the first round. Jordan and Kobe didn't fucking make the playoffs when they were 40 years old, so I don't want to hear that shit. You can't hold that against LeBron. And also, I saw a stat. Someone said Michael Jordan he's never been down 3-1 in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Well, no shit, because the NBA only played 5 fucking games in the first round back when Jordan played, so it'd be really hard to go down 3-1. And actually, he probably did go down 3-1 because he lost in the first round a bunch of times in his career. I didn't do the research, but I'm sure it happened. And then, as I said earlier, it is the Rockets and the Warriors. I think that's a 3-2 series. The Warriors are up 3-2. I think. I don't remember actually. Maybe
the Warriors are up.
Oh, it's 3-1. Yeah. Golden State. Okay, that makes sense. I couldn't remember if they had played 5 or 4.
Golden State's going to come back and win this game, so it's okay. I'm not worried.
It's only a 21-point lead, and we're not even in halftime yet, so there's plenty of game left. And if I've seen,
well, up until the first quarter, Jimmy Butler didn't score any points in the first quarter. Curry only had a couple points, no threes. Now Curry has 2 threes, and Butler's got points on the board. So they're starting to warm up a little bit. So I'm not too worried about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Steph's 2 of 6 from 3, 2 of 6 overall, so that's not a good shooting night for him. So yeah, if he figures it out, and then Jimmy Butler has 3 points, so not a great start. But again, plenty of game left.
Steve. LeBron will make it to 42. Kobe didn't.
He's got that going for him.
No.
Amen to that.
Too soon.
No such thing as too soon. If anything, it's too late. He should have made this joke sooner.
Day of.
Yeah, and then in the East, the Cavaliers take care of business. They sweep the Miami Heat, dominating 4-0. They will take on the Indiana Pacers on Sunday. Again, I don't know if a game time's been announced, but they are officially playing the Pacers.
I sent you?
Yeah, I did. I saw that on Twitter earlier today.
That's hilarious.
I would love it if they post it because it's perfect for more than just the Pacers. Like it's just a perfect shirt. Because you could almost give them out at Browns games too, and I feel like everyone would know who it's about. So
yeah, absolutely. Fuck yeah.
Kyle sent me the picture that's going around from that
McNeil.
reflog or whatever, McNeil, whatever you want to call him. And it's supposed to look like the shirts they're giving out at the playoffs games, but it just says "Control Your Dad" because of obviously Tyrese Halliburton. So I think that would be really funny. I do feel like if he's at the game, they're gonna fucking talk mad shit. Cleveland fans don't mess around, so good luck to them.
Pacers fans talking shit already because they're bringing up the regular season record against us. Where they
I did see that, even though the last 2 times we faced them, it was our bench, and on both games the Cavs almost beat them with our backups. I remember when their starters faced us on the last Friday night of the season, they had to have a heroic comeback against our backups, and then on the final game of the regular season, our backups, same thing, took it into overtime if I'm not mistaken. So personally, I don't want to say I'm looking ahead, but I'm really not too worried about the Pacers. I think the Cavs play at a pace they're not used to, and the Pacers are a good offensive team. Their goal is to get the ball and to shoot it as quick as possible, to have as many possessions as possible, which is great for them. But the Cavs play a little bit better defense than the Milwaukee Bucks. Cavs have a little bit more size. We do have a guy who was the defensive player of the year. We do have Jared Allen. We have Dean Wade, who's going to come out there. We have Isaac Okoro. They are going to play Tyrese Halliburton really tight. And if we lose this series somehow, it's going to be because of a guy like Pascal Siakam, who, again, will be covered by a guy like Evan Mobley or fucking Benedict McCarran, or however you say his name, could be if him or Aaron Nesmith are the guys, or TJ McCollum are the guys beating you, you deserve to lose. So shut down Halliburton, shut down Turner, and shut down Pascal Siakam, and the Cavs should win this series in no more than 6 games. And that's being generous. But the Cavs should put belt to ass and win this series handedly.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Knicks are in a bit of a fight. They are up 3-2 against the Detroit Pistons. Realistically, if the refs didn't fucking suck and do everything in their power to make sure New York teams win, the Pistons should have already won this series, because the Pistons have had 2 games in which they lost where the refs fucked up at the end of the game, one of which even resulted in the refs putting out a nice little letter after the game when it's too late and it changes nothing, saying, hey, our bad. We should have called a foul there when your team was down by 1 and he shot a 3-pointer, which would have given your team the lead and probably a W in the playoffs. Our bad. So the NBA can suck a fat one, doing anything in their power to get a Knicks-Celtics series. They couldn't cheat last night. The Pistons won, and they look to even that series up. I think tomorrow night they play Game 6.
I'm rooting for the Pistons. I mean, JB.
100%. As I said before this all started, I fucking hate the Knicks because of my buddies.
The only team that I'm worried about a little bit is the Celtics, but the Celtics are still a little banged up, right? But I would love to see the Pistons make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't fear the Pistons at all. They're a good team, but I think
the selfish part of me as a Cavs fan, I need the Knicks to kind of beat up the Celtics a little bit. The Knicks and Celtics, obviously New York and Boston hate each other, so that would be a better series in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, the Pistons play very physical, but I don't think the Pistons are ready for this type of a matchup in the playoffs. So I think the better situation for the Cavaliers would be the Knicks to play the Celtics and to give them a 6 to 7 game series, hopefully, fingers crossed. Make it tough on them, beat them up a little bit, because I need the Cavs to win in, again, 5 games, get a lot of rest, and then take on whomever in the Eastern Conference Finals. But one step at a time, you got to beat your opponent in front of you. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm getting too far ahead of myself, but the Cavs should win the series. There's no excuse for them to not win the series. It would be an utter failure if they don't win their series. So we'll talk more about this next week, because by then there might be 1 game under the Cavs belt, because the NBA playoffs takes about 3 months to finish. And we will talk about the rest of the draft. And then the week after, we will be off for sure, because I have Louis C.K. tickets on the 14th at Hilarities, and I cannot wait to see my man Louis. Couldn't be more excited. With that being said, let's get into everyone's favorite ending of the show, and that is just the tip. Kyle did not provide a tip for George. I will let him go.
I don't have a tip this week. I'll be honest. It's been such a mush day. I don't have a tip, so I apologize. So knock out your
That's fair. Okay. My tip is a movie that I believe I watched on Paramount. I think it was on Paramount. I never heard of it until recently. I'm a huge fan of, or not a fan, but I'm a huge historian of. I'm a huge Holocaust supporter.
Huge Holocaust fan. Let's talk about that.
I'm a huge fan of Holocaust history and World War II history is what I meant to get to. So pretty much anything related to World War II and Nazis and the Holocaust and stuff like that, I love to watch it and learn. And I've seen, a bunch of documentaries. I've read books. I've watched movies. I try to see everything. This movie slipped through the cracks. This one popped up as just, I think I was on Reddit one day and somebody was posting like, name one of the saddest movies you've ever seen. And someone was like, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas gutted me about the Holocaust. And I was like, never heard of it. So I Googled it really quick and I was like, interesting. I'd like to see this one. Long story short, without spoiling anything, it's about a boy, as you can see on the left, who is a normal German kid. The one thing that's kind of weird to watch is that the actors all have British accents. So you're watching a Jew and a German kid, but they're all speaking English with British accents. But whatever, put that aside. The boy, his dad, is a top general at one of the at Auschwitz, or one of the camps. I think it might be Auschwitz, or it's one of them. I don't remember which one specifically. But his dad gets promoted to like a high-ranking person at one of the camps, so they literally move next door to the camp, so the dad can go in and out and work every day. The kid is told by his parents, don't go through this gate, don't go in this area. He's a kid, unsupervised, doesn't listen. He starts going up to this gate, becomes friends with this kid, and he doesn't really understand what's happening. They've been lying to him about the whole situation, so he doesn't get that this kid's a prisoner. He's like, why don't you come over here? Let's play. Like, why don't you do this? And he's like, I can't. I'm stuck here. And they become friends. And long story short, towards the end, he kind of starts to understand what's happening. And again, I don't want to spoil it. The ending of it it's a gut-wrenching movie. It sticks with you for a while. You're kind of like, holy shit. It was fantastic, though. It was only like an hour and a half. It was a pretty quick movie. It was really fucking good. It's got some names in it. Vera Farmiga, I think is how you pronounce her name, the woman from The Conjuring. You'd recognize her if you see her. She plays the mother of the boy. And then there's some other people in there you probably recognize from some stuff. But overall, just a fantastic movie. And again, it was powerful. The ending of it just shows you how fucked up the Holocaust was and how concentration camps were. And again, this one sticks with you. That's all I can say. I don't want to spoil anything. It's just a fantastic movie. Both of these young men were great. The story, again, it's the Holocaust, so it's fucked up to begin with, but they really put a decent story in on it. So check it out if you have a chance. I really enjoyed this movie. It's like 10 years old or whatever, but again, I never heard of it till recently, so I wanted to watch it. So check that one out. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Really good movie. Really good. Check it out. And that's it for me.
Yeah, I haven't read there's a book out for it, but I've heard people talk about the ending of it's kind of something you don't see coming, especially with the back and forth. I haven't read it, but I try to stay away from sad movies. I'm an emotional being, I don't like crying if I don't need to. So
I don't really have feelings. I've always been, Tara complains about that I don't have like empathy and things like that, and like things don't really bother me. So I can watch a sad movie like that and be kind of like, all right, what are we doing next? Like, it doesn't really change anything. But this one, again, it's a powerful ending. It'll be in my mind, but like, it's not going to I don't know. It doesn't do anything for me.
You're not going to wake up in the middle of the night dreaming of people dying in the gas chamber. Okay, cool.
No, not in the slightest bit. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. We are going to get off of here again. Thank you for watching. We're going to do a quick episode next week to talk more about the draft and more about the NBA playoffs, and then obviously anything else that happens within that week. And then we are off. So thank you to Kyle. I know he's been traveling a ton, dealing with presidential suites and cuck chairs and eating on the road. And
lots of cuck chairs.
A guy can only withstand so many cuck chairs in his life before he starts to have mental breakdowns. So safe travels coming home from Cincinnati. We will talk soon. And that's it, Cleveland. This was for you. See you later.